As change is introduced in the WCB, essentially we move from our current state, the way we do things today, to our future state, the way we envision doing things tomorrow. The spot in between those two states is where the change takes place. Transitioning from current state to future state can be messy and uncomfortable at times. To get through this change, it's important to know that everyone plays a role. Hi, I'm Tanya Doucette, Senior Change Manager with the Change Management Office. This segment of Take 5, I will reintroduce and take a fresh approach on explaining the different roles and expectations of players in the change. Oftentimes, there's a misconception that project teams or change managers are the only people or roles responsible for change. Let's break this down. The project team is made up of subject matter experts and project managers, and their focus is on all the tasks that need to be achieved to get from our current state to our future state. Now, change managers, they identify the people impacts and develop strategies to enable leaders to support people through the transition period from current to future state. Change managers also support sponsors and people leaders, providing advice and strategies to ensure messages about change are relatable and understandable based on the stage of change and where people are at on the change curve. Sponsors and people leaders support their teams through that transition by sharing information and building awareness about the change, why the change is important, and why the change needs to happen now. Sponsors and people leaders translate what the change means for their teams, and they're responsible for removing barriers to ensure their team has what they need to be successful in the change. To give you an analogy, think about an experience of moving from one city to another. There are reams of people who help support that move. So let's pull in some of the roles we talked about earlier in this analogy. Okay, so project managers, in our analogy of the moving to another city, they'd be like the real estate agents. They facilitate the detailed requirements and keep everything aligned, moving forward and on track. And then there's the project team who are like the movers, taking stuff from one location to another, or from the current state to the future state. And then there's your manager or people leader that is there to help you when you get stuck or things break down, like if you're lost and you need the navigation system to get back on the road again. But ultimately, you set the tone and drive the change. All of these roles are here to help you to get from point A to point B of the change, but at the center of all of this, it's you, the person who has to transition from current state to future state. Each individual experiences their own emotions on the change curve and has a different and unique journey. But through the change journey, you make choices about how you're going to do that. While supports can be put in place from various players, each individual makes the choice if and how they will experience change and move from point A to point B. Very often, change doesn't immediately make sense. It is way out of the comfort zone, or you feel like you don't have time to learn or do something in a new way. Going back to the moving analogy and your role, you are the person who needs to move from one city to the other. You decide which route you take to get there, what music you play. Is it going to be sad ballads to reminisce about the time you spent in your current place, or is it upbeat tunes excited about the new location? You may not have made the decision to move, but you still need to get you and your stuff to the new location. It can be stressful and you will likely have setbacks. So how do you get unstuck and put yourself firmly in the driver's seat to get to point B? As we undergo change here at the WCB, think about what you need for support to move through the change. Where do you anticipate a bump in the road? Where might you go when you need assistance? And how will you show up in the change? Thanks for listening to this segment of Take 5. See you next time.